Well, the White House spent more than $800 billion on the stimulus program. So where are the $800 billion worth of jobs? We'll have an eye-opening report on that next. Plus, crazy scene at a mall. More than 100 cops in riot gear responding to break up a brawl. Wait till you hear what started it. You've heard it before. And Rick Santorum says well, next Tuesday, GOP voters head to the polls in Arizona and Michigan. This could be a game changer in the Republican race for president, especially for Rick Santorum. If he can win Romney's home state of Michigan in particular, some say he will have fired a devastating shot into Romney's momentum. And Rick Santorum joins me live right now to discuss that and more. Senator, thank you so much for being back with me.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you. Okay, so there's lots we want to talk about.
Thank you.
Okay, so we all watched the big debate on Wednesday night, and you've been taking heat ever since then for your so-called team player comment. Let's just tee it up in part for the viewers so they can see what you said. You were getting hammered for voting for President Bush's big initiative, No Child Left Behind. You were saying, look, it was his big policy initiative, and then you said this.
I have to admit, I voted for that. It was against the principles I believed in, but you know, when you're part of the team, sometimes you take one for the team for the leader, and I made a mistake. You know, politics is a team sport, folks, and sometimes you gotta rally together and do something.
So they booed you, and then you doubled down and talked about politics being a team sport. Do you regret that answer?
Well, who was the team I was supporting? I was supporting President Bush in his attempt to try to get education testing in the schools to make sure that we weren't having children, as we've seen, drop out and fail. By the way, that bill passed, I think, 90 votes in the United States Senate, 400 in the House. And by the way, Governor Romney supported it. Here's the difference. When I saw it implemented, I said that was a mistake. Way too much money was spent, and that's, you know, the principle that I said that I was against was the principle of spending all this money on education at the federal level. When it got out of control, I said it was a mistake. I said it was something I shouldn't have done. Governor Romney continues to support No Child Left Behind. Here's the hypocrisy, Megan. He's attacking me on something he supports and supports today. I at least have the courage to admit when I make a mistake. He's doubled down himself and says he's for more government control of federal government control of education. I said I'd repeal No Child Left Behind. He says he won't repeal No Child Left Behind.
Yeah, there's
not a conservative.
There's no question that Mitt Romney
has attacking me for.
Sorry, Senator. There's no question that Mitt Romney has supported No Child Left Behind. You're absolutely right on that. He said that repeatedly. But you're taking fire from him and from his surrogates like Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, who came out yesterday and said, the art of compromising is understanding you can't get everything you want, but not compromising your principles. If you do that, he says, people won't know who you are. Did you compromise your principles? Well, if there's anybody,
that's funny. If there's anybody who's compromised his principles, Mitt Romney, is supported a government-run healthcare system. Mitt Romney, is someone who ran as a pro-choice, gay rights supporting governor of Massachusetts. I mean, you can go on down the list with Mitt Romney supported big tax increases in the state of Massachusetts, huge spending increases. You look at my track record. I have a track record of being a strong, consistent conservative. For Mitt Romney to attack me as not being conservative is laughable. That Mitt Romney was, when I was out there fighting No Child Left Behind, he was out there, supporting and going to Planned Parenthood fundraisers. I'm standing up here as the consistent conservative in this race who, with President Bush's biggest initiative of his campaign that the American public supported, along with 90 other United States senators, I voted for that. It was a mistake. I admit it. And unfortunately, Governor Romney continues to support those big government liberal programs.
I want to talk a little bit about earmarks. That was another thing that was brought up in the debate that you had a back and forth with Romney on. And he accused you of pushing for earmarks in a non-transparent way. And then you claimed that the earmarking process was open and transparent. And then factcheck.org, Karl Rove and others have come out since the debate and said, this is factcheck.org, saying, quote, that's not true. And they say, quote, Santorum is the one misrepresenting the facts on this, saying the rules requiring public disclosure of earmarks did not go into effect until 2007 after you had left the U.S. Senate. Did you misstate the facts?
No, the public. Look, I was always transparent about the earmarks I requested. I would make them available for people to take a look at. The earmarks, you know, go and look at the debates on the Senate floor. They were debated. John McCain would come out and list all of the different earmarks that were in the bill.
But it was up to the lawmaker. It wasn't required.
That's correct. It was up to the lawmaker, but I was talking about that it was a transparent process in the sense that once the bill came to the floor, the earmarks were in the bill. It was not something that was a hidden thing. Every member knew when they were voting on the bill, they were voting for these particular things. It has become it became more transparent, which was fine, but the idea that these were hidden and that nobody knew what was in the bill is simply false. Everybody knew, and I was particularly transparent in being very public about what I did and what I requested. As I mentioned before, I've said that earmarks should be stopped, and I would support stopping earmarks, and that's really the issue in this race.
Mm-hmm. Romney and you also had an exchange. This is becoming a theme, right? You and Romney going after each other. He also
look, on the issue of earmarks, Megan, I mean, he supported earmarks himself. Again, it's the hypocrisy of attacking me on things that he himself supported, and to say that I'm not conservative because I was doing the same things that he himself was doing, and that's the issue that I think people don't understand, sort of failed to see in that debate. Is I wasn't attacking Governor Romney for doing things that I was doing at the same time, but he's attacking me on things he agrees with me on, which is the height of hypocrisy.
He is going after you on Arlen Specter, a good old Arlen, who found his way into this presidential race, which, I don't think the American people expected that. But he finds himself back in the race. Here's just a snippet of a political ad that Romney is running against you.
If Rick Santorum couldn't say no to liberal Arlen Specter, can we really trust him to change Washington?
So now you said at the debate that you basically had a deal with Specter when you backed him, that you would back him, but only if he promised to get behind President Bush and his judicial nominees, because we had some very big openings on the high court coming up. You wanted to make sure he would back the president. Then Specter goes on another network, Senator, and says this.
That is flatly not true. We never had any such conversation. It would be improper to make a commitment on a vote before I knew who the nominee was and whether I thought the nominee was qualified.
So what's the story?
Well, we just found a press article from that year in which I think it's the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette actually wrote that he admitted that he pledged to his colleagues, and not specifically me, but to his colleagues, that he would give the president's nominees a fair and fair hearing, and that he would move their nominations out. I mean, look, he's entitled. He's now a Democrat. He's now a big Obama supporter, and he can say whatever he wants. He can try to rewrite history. But the fact of the matter is, he was publicly saying, yes, I'm going to do this because his colleagues wanted that assurances. So it's in the press that he did say that. Number one, and number two, he did it. He stood by Justice Alito and Justice Roberts and stood by them, helped shepherd them through the process. Two very conservative nominees. I'm sure now he feels bad about that, but you can't rewrite history. I stood up there and fought for the biggest principle. I knew that I would take a lot of heat for doing what I did, but I wanted to assure that we had a majority in the Senate, we had a Republican chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and that we could get President Bush's nominees through so we could have conservatives on the bench for 30 years. We've done that, and I'm proud of the fact that we have Alito and Roberts there to hold down those positions on the court for a long time to come.
The Specter also came out and said he thought that President Bush's endorsement of him meant a lot more than your endorsement of him did.
That's fine. I'm sure it did.
But I want to, well, I mean, it's just, so that they were his nominees. I want to give you this statement that the Romney camp put out to all the media, knowing that you were going to be speaking today. And they say the following, quote, Rick Santorum is a Washington insider who is lashing out at Mitt Romney because he had a terrible debate performance. Back in 2008, Senator Santorum endorsed Mitt Romney for president because of Mitt's, quote, conservative record. Now Rick's changed his tune. This sounds like another case of Rick Santorum abandoning his principles for his own political advantage. I want to give you the chance to respond to that, Senator.
It's so funny. I mean, there was a story just this past week in one of the papers that Mitt Romney has contributions from about 300 lobbyists, of which many of them are key advisors in his campaign. You go and look into the folks who are running around with Mitt Romney or advising him. They're all lobbyists, Washington insiders. I don't have anybody. He has all of these people who want to keep the status quo into effect. None of them are out there supporting me. I don't want their support. I'm out there voting, running for the American people. Mitt, look at his tax plan. It's timid. It tinkers. We have dramatic change in the tax code. We're going to upset the special interests that are the folks behind his campaign. We're the guys out there that are making and calling for the big changes. Mitt Romney is, for an outsider, he's got every insider in the country running his campaign who is trying to protect the special interests in this country. And we're out there. We have, as you know, no advisors, no Washington people who are involved in working in our campaign. We have folks from across this country who are in the states, who are volunteers, who are making a difference and trying to overthrow the establishment, big government Republicans that Mitt Romney has represented when he was as a governor, and he certainly continues to represent those values in this race. And as far as my endorsement, you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I supported Mitt Romney when it was down to Romney and McCain. I knew John McCain. I knew what kind of conservative would be. So I landed with Romney. He proved me wrong. He went out right after the campaign was over, and he endorsed the Wall Street bailouts. He was for big government programs there. He also went out and defended Romney Care. As we've seen, it's a complete disaster. And I wasn't going to be a part of someone who was going to run a campaign where we didn't have any kind of clear contrast between himself and President Obama. That's what we need to win this election.
Let me ask you quickly, in the limited time I have left, about the polls. You're still the front runner nationally, according to the Real Clear Politics average of all polls. Rasmussen reports came out with some polls in Michigan and Arizona today. Romney's been leading you in Michigan. And in Arizona, he still does by around 13 points, I think it is. But he shows the race tightening in Michigan. You were ahead by 4 points earlier this week, and now you're behind by a few points. Don't make me do the math. By 6 points. So it's been a 10-point swing for you in the wrong direction for you this week in Michigan. What do you think accounts for that, and what's going to happen on Tuesday, and what are you going to do in the wake of a win or a loss there?
We feel very good. I mean, rages ebb and surge. We feel very comfortable that we're going to do very well in Michigan, and we'll probably exceed expectations in Arizona. Those are two tough states for us. I've said this from the very beginning. People say, oh, you're ahead of Michigan. I said, no, not so fast. I mean, we're going to be outspent, and we are. We're being badly outspent in the state of Michigan. Romney's super PAC is outspending us about 3-1. And it's very tough. It's his home state. We understand that that was not going to be an easy place for us to be successful as far as winning the race. We just thought the key for us was to finish well and to do well there. And I think we will do well there. I feel very confident that our message is resonating. The fact that we're in the race at all in his home state, as being as badly outspent as we have been for the past 2 weeks, I think we're doing fine.
And now they're telling me we have 60 seconds of heartbreak, but I got to ask you quickly: do you believe that Romney and Paul have a deal, not to go after each other, but to go after you and Newt?
I don't know. Why is he running ads in Michigan when he's not campaigning there, and the ads are negative ads against me?
Ron Paul, you mean?
You explain that one for me.
Rick Santorum, thanks for coming on, sir.
Thank you very much, Megan. It's great to be with you.
It's great to have you. I tell you, it's like I think our viewers remember. It seems like yesterday you were on, you were doing political commentary, and now look at you, front runner and number one in the Real Clear Politics average.
We're working hard, trying to work hard for the people out there in America, and we're going to keep at it.
Thank you for coming on.
You bet.
All right, see you soon.